guys, this is Juan with Cole Buildings again. Today we're going to do a little bit about the educational building process on how our systems work in regards to building a custom barndominium from the very start to the very finish. This is a tutorial video. A lot of people are asking questions, and hopefully this helps you guys understand how our processes work. The first step we're going to talk about is really design engineering, how that really works, because a lot of people ask, well, how I need my stamp to seal plans, or they don't really know where to start, and it can be very, very confusing, especially when it comes to building a custom home. Okay, number one, people usually do spec homes, floor plans, because they try to keep you within a parameter of budget. Okay, with us, we do things that are very different. We do custom. Everything's customized. So it could be a lot more detailed, a lot more there's a lot more variances. So it's a lot more complex, if that makes sense. But you also get what you want versus trying to force you into a floor plan that you don't want. So the number one thing is planning. Okay, we're gonna talk about planning. So planning, I hope that I spelled that right, but planning is the first step. Okay, number one, with this process, everything we do is customized. Okay, that's why we can't really give you a price per square foot right off the bat, typically, because it depends on, there's a lot of variances, but we eventually will once the plans are completed. Okay, number two, usually you're going to get a 10-page plan sheet for a steel structure. Okay, for a steel structure. Okay, so you're going to develop your steel plans, your floor plan with an architectural design CAD software. Okay, once that is complete, that box is checked, and when the plans are completed, you got to make sure you have your land in order. Okay, do a site visit, and we're going to conduct a site visit. Okay, now on a site visit, we'll be able to take the floor plan that you design, okay, whatever it may be, and we'll kind of calculate how much it costs for labor in your local area, and how much it calculate for materials for the build out. Okay, now since we already know what the plan, when you first come in with Cole Buildings, you're right off the bat, you're going to go onto our online designer. Okay, it's on our website, online designer, and figure out what structure you want to go with, whether it's going to be cold form steel, red iron, or clear span steel buildings. Now, these all differ. These are all steel structures or iron structures, but really everything's to go off of something called the IBC code. Okay, and the IBC code is the International Building Code, and you can have a residential code or commercial, and based off of and every state is different. So if you're building in Florida, we highly recommend go with either cold form or red iron. Reason why is because you have what you call risk category 5 hurricanes, and when those hit Florida and the Florida coast, you better make sure you're building something like this. Okay, now if you're building in the southeast, like South Carolina, Georgia, we use clear span buildings typically for, for resident risk cat 1 homes, or risk category 1 buildings with storage units, or they may like the look of it, which is fine. The only problem with risk category 1s is these clear span buildings, usually for these clear span buildings like tubular steel, you usually have to pay a good pretty penny to bump up the engineering, and that can cost a lot of extra money on structural engineering. So we try to stay with typically cold form or red iron. Now the cool thing is we have our own installers, so we can install our own buildings. Okay, we can do red iron, we can do cold form. The great thing about these buildings is we offer you can get offered standing seam roof systems, or you do corrugated roof systems. You can go 24 gauge, which is the thickest, 26 gauge, which is not as thick, and 29 gauge, which is the thinnest. Okay, that's the thickness of the steel on the paneling. Okay, site visit. When you come to a site visit, you're going to do a total calculation. So we're going to break down the building. You're going to have the building. Okay, so you have the building price for the building. All right, so let me rate this. So hopefully you guys got that. So based off of some other elements. Okay. All right. Based on some other elements, okay? So based off your plans, right? So these are some things you're going to need. So your budget will determine, is a formula, plans, okay? These two have to marry up, but you can't, your plans, your budgets kind of fit. So, and that's based off your estimates, okay? So the estimate, what does the estimate include? A lot of people are like, well, your plans are gonna tell us, and your budget are gonna pretty much be the guiding formulas for the estimates of how much this total bill is gonna cost. So number one, your shell of your building is one cost. Say your shell of your building $60,000 for the materials delivered to your job site, right? And the install, say the install is $45,000. Okay. Okay. So now we're at $605,000. Okay. Plus you got your equipment rental. Okay. So that includes your equipment rental to the job for United Rental, renting the lull and the scissor lifts to install the building. So that's the install. Okay. Now that's just a shell. Now, say that you build it, your package maybe a $500,000 budget, hypothetically, okay? But say that the land is $40K, so we got to take out $40,000 for the land, right? So accommodate for land, so $40,000. So now we're at $145, okay, in the budget. So $145 plus plans, say plans of $5,000, so we're $150,000, okay, so far into the project. Now, that means you have left over, not 500,000, but 350,000, okay, to build out the home. Now, what comes into this formula? Well, we have to account to some things. Number one, you have to account for well, water, right? Well, there's water, right? A pump and all that. Then you got a septic, right? Septic or sewer. Then electric to the property, pull electric to the property. Then we got clearing, clear the land, get it prepped. Okay, then we got to get then we have to order so we got to pour a concrete slab. Okay, so we got concrete. Okay, and then you got to get internal framing. Account for that. And these are called line items. Okay, so we get materials and labor for each one. Materials and labor for each one. Materials and labor for each one. Okay, clearing the land is basically labor and also equipment. All this has got to be counted into your budget, total budget. Then we have framing. Then you got your, say, your sheetrock, sheetrock or planking inside, more materials and labor. Cabinets, okay, materials and labor, okay. Then you count into, let's say, go into now your lighting system, right, and your insulation. Okay, you got to insulate the building, and then lighting. Okay, then you got plumbing. Forgot plumbing. And then you got I talked about framing, and then we talked about sheetrock. You want sheetrock it, right? And tape and float, paint. You gotta have painters come and paint. Okay. Then we got tile and bathrooms, right? And we got flooring, materials, and labor. All this has to fit within this budget. Got it? Plus we have closing costs. So all this is going to fit within this budget. Okay? And that's based off of your plans and your total budget. So this is basically has all fit in within one budget and has been broken down, which we call line items. Okay? Line items breaks down your total bill. So usually when we do a budget, people come with us a total budget. We build them a plan try to marry it up as close as we can. So typically we can build from $125 a square foot up to, you can go up to $450. It just depends where you're building. So I'll base off of your local zip code, what the labor cost and the material costs are in your local zip code of your build location. So the cool thing is, we build all over the U.S. Sometimes we in-house everything. Sometimes we partner out certain portions of it and subcontract other portions to make sure your build is completed on time or as fast as we can. Okay. There's nothing fast about building a home, but we definitely work the hardest we can to make sure it can speed up and expedite the process. Typical builds take 6 to 12 months, sometimes 15 months. It's just dependent on what you're building. Okay. So basically, I hope this information helps you guys in the building process. My name is Juan with Colt Buildings, and check us out on the web at coltbuildings.com, and we would love to service you guys and help encourage you guys in your build and get you the right numbers and the right formulas and the right team behind you to make sure we execute this build as smoothly as possible. You guys have a blessed day.